Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in this video, it's an instant reaction to Miami's 44-13 loss to Alabama to start the season. There's 5 things I'd like to get to, and let's just get right into it immediately. My number one thing that I want to talk about, and it's something that I talked about all offseason with this game coming up, is they've got to be competitive for the duration of the game as long as possible. I know Miami was a 19.5-point underdog. It was going to take a lot for Miami to win this game. I just felt like with where this program is, with the amount of returners you have coming back year 3 in this Manny Diaz era, I felt like this team really had to compete. And that's not what we saw tonight. Miami really struggled initially in the beginning, down 27-3 at halftime, and really didn't get much going in the second half either. And I think that's really disappointing. And I think most fans, certainly on the ones on the website and anybody that's paid attention to the videos on the channel, I've been reading your comments. I know Miami fans, although they were optimistic, it didn't seem like you guys thought that Miami would pull off this upset, or certainly they knew it was a daunting task. But I think many of you are upset that it got out of hand, and we've seen this with better teams on Miami's schedule. You saw it with LSU in an opener a few years ago, down 30 points in the fourth quarter. You saw it against Clemson last year. You saw it against North Carolina last year. And those blowout losses where games really get away from you, I think that really hurts your program and it hurts your fan base even more. It's very disappointing, in particular with this one, because certainly everyone in college football world, and certainly Miami program is included in that, has a great deal of respect of what's going on at Alabama, the dynasty that they've been able to develop. But when you see an Alabama team returning a lot of guys on defense, certainly that's a strong point. But also, there's so many new faces on offense, a new quarterback making his first start, and I will get more into the defense later. But I think in turn, with so many new faces, I think Miami was hoping to stay a little bit closer, to be competitive, and that just did not happen. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from today. I think that was the most disappointing part about watching this game. Number 2 starts with the offense. I think in particular with the offense, I think it lacked creativity. I think that there was some sort of identity missing with the offense. I thought there was a lot of underneath stuff that they went to. And I understand that Alabama makes things difficult. I think everybody understands that. But with Alabama, the only way you're going to have a chance on beating them or stay competitive, stay in the game, is to kind of hit all 3 levels in the passing game and kind of get a balanced offense going. And it felt like everything was very short. There wasn't a lot of opportunities in the passing game going downfield. It was few and far between throughout the night. And I think that was a disappointing thing to see with the offense. You needed an offense that was creative. You needed an offense that was going to go to all 3 levels. You needed to find a way to attack the secondary. Miami's wide receivers are built with speed. They're not the physical guys that you're looking forward to have those short the short patterns and things like that, and maybe those aggressive catches. And they just didn't get guys out in space enough. And I think D'Eriq King is partly to blame with that, or partly to point to with it. And I know the offensive line had its troubles at times, but I think D'Eriq's got to push the ball. I think a lot of stuff, the underneath stuff, just wasn't working nearly to the level that it needed to. They needed to really get the ball downfield. And I think that was part of the problem with the offense. I think also, too, it felt like with the running game, it felt like there wasn't a lot of creativity with that. They weren't making plays. It felt like even going into the year, you felt like, I know Miami wants a lead tailback, but in this one, it felt like you got to get another back going. And without Jalen Knighton for the first 4 games, he's been suspended. You felt like Don Chaney Jr. might be able to get in there a little bit to kind of mix it up, but it just felt like a lot of short stuff. It felt like there wasn't a lot of, trying to put pressure on Alabama in the passing game. It felt like Miami was playing to Alabama's strengths with that front 7 that Alabama has, particularly with the linebackers, the edge guys they have in that 3-4 scheme. And it felt like they were easily able to cover any short passes out to the flats, to the running backs or wide receivers. And I think that needed to change in this one. Also, look, Manny Diaz is very confident. Tight end Will Mallory called him a matchup problem. And when you come out and say something so strong like that, you've got to utilize that tight end spot. Will Mallory, 2 catches, 12 yards, only 2 targets. I didn't think there was any chance that Miami could have an effective offense in the passing game without utilizing Will. And it just didn't feel like they did that enough, or weren't looking his way, or looking to try to make him a weapon nearly as many times or as much as they needed to. And I think that was a little bit disappointing. So ultimately it comes down to points, and they didn't put up enough points on the board early in the first half. I understand they got to 13 or whatever it was in the second half. With those, they did get a touchdown. I know they had that fourth and one play where they thought they might be able to punch it in. But reality was, in the first half, when the game was still within reach, when you needed to score touchdowns and not get down 27 points, I think Miami really struggled offensively, and it felt like they could have done some things differently. So it will be interesting to see how they adjust moving forward with that when they put the film on and take a look at it. Number three, and it's really just kind of these general themes with this game, starting with, not being competitive, not enough in the game, which was disappointing, the offense. And I want to go with the defense. It definitely hurt that Bubba Bolden was knocked out. I think it was ejected from the game. As a leader, as someone with a lot of experience, as Miami's best defensive player, you can't get ejected from a game. I understand everyone's playing hard, but the targeting stuff is becoming a theme with Miami players, tied for the lead last year in the ACC with the most ejections. And they definitely need to be cognizant of that and not hurt the team. But certainly it already felt like the game was getting out of hand. It was already 17-0 when he got knocked out. But anyways, with the defense, it just wasn't enough resistance. It wasn't enough pressure on the quarterback. Bryce Young throws for 344 yards, set an Alabama record for most passing yards by a quarterback making his first start. I think Miami needed to get after him, and that just did not happen. There wasn't enough blitz packages. There weren't enough effective pass rush with the defensive line. And I think this is a concern. I think the linebackers have been a concern all season, or going into the season. I think the defensive line play needed to be better, and they just didn't apply enough pressure on the quarterback. And I feel like, look, all of this stuff, some of it you might chalk it away as, look, it's Alabama. Miami's not likely not to face another team like this on the schedule. And I understand that, but there's also certain areas in the game that Miami just has to be better at moving forward if they want to have one of these really successful seasons, compete for an ACC title like they're hoping to, 10-win season, all those kind of things. So certainly things they've got to correct. And defensively, like I said, not enough pressure, not enough blitzes that were effective. And in the passing game, the secondary had a hard time staying with the guys. I think you saw Alabama's speed on full display. I think Miami's got to do a better job, either deciding to contain some of that speed or get their hands on balls or whatever it might be. But the secondary felt like needed to be better tonight. And that was also a little bit disappointing to see. Number four, talks with just my thoughts, just Coach Diaz in general. I think he's got his work cut out for him with this program, with where it's at now. And I don't want to overreact, but I do think anytime you lose a game where you're a ranked team going into it, anytime you lose the opening game of a season, you've got to do a really good job in coaching to really assess what the issues are with the team. They've got to make some hard decisions, I think, moving forward, either with personnel or even scheme, because they've got to figure out a way to gain some confidence in these next few games heading into ACC play. And I think it's a big challenge for Coach. I think he's at a, kind of at a crossroads right now. They've lost 3 games in a row, dating back to last year. 2 of them where they were completely overmatched. They'll get another chance at North Carolina coming up in a few games. But I think that this team really has to, get back and gain confidence, find out what they do well, and really get to that. And obviously there are so many things that did not go well tonight. And I know, listening to Coach Diaz's press conference tonight, he talked a lot about third downs. He felt like that was a big part. But frankly, first and second downs didn't go much better. So I think you can simplify it by picking out a certain area of the game, but it just felt like they were overmatched in a lot of different areas. It felt like that way going in certain position groups. And again, he's got his hands full moving forward. A big challenge ahead, him and the coaching staff, of really getting these guys to play their best, and obviously finding out the best players to play, and obviously the scheme and all of these things moving forward. And I think with my fifth takeaway has to do with the returning players. One of my biggest question marks, and really for the whole season, is yes, Miami has a lot of guys returning, and that's good. A lot of experience on both sides of the ball, different position groups. However, my biggest question mark was with the returners. Are they merely going to be these average group of players that are serviceable, that can kind of be solid at best? Or are these some of these guys going to take the next step in their game? And I think for Miami to achieve one of these good seasons, successful years that they're hoping for, the returning players have to take their game up a notch. These guys have to play better than they showed a year before. They have to play. Many of them have to play better than they showed in the first game, and we'll see how they do. Look, if you're in year three, year 4 or 5, some of these guys, Derek King, year 6, some of these guys have been around college football a lot, and you're really hoping these guys elevate their game, and that'll be the thing that I'll be watching for moving forward because for Miami to get to where, like I said, for Miami to get to where it needs to get and wants to get, these upperclassmen, these guys with a lot of experience, have to really elevate their play, and we'll see how they do moving forward. Going ahead to the Appalachian State game, we'll see. It'll be a home opener, so certainly Miami will look into, get to 1-1. He cannot start a season 0-2. We'll see how everything goes. So more on Appalachian State, but obviously more on the complete breakdown of the Alabama game. Be sure to check out the website. I just want to do this really quickly after the game, after watching Coach Diaz's press conference. So thanks for everybody for watching. Drop in the comments, what are some things that you either are concerned with moving forward, or, what are some positive takeaways from the game? Maybe there's some things that you saw, some players that you like that had some positive results that you like. Drop in the comments below. Definitely thank everybody for watching, and take care.